Must be 7 against 7.
7 against 7. It is a ritual of blood and faith that hasn't been seen in Westeros for over a century. In episode 5, In the Name of the Mother, the pageantry of the Ashford tourney finally collapses into a lethal melee. But as the lances are levelled, we realise this isn't just a trial for Sir Duncan the Tall, it's a trial for the soul of the Targaryen dynasty. On the sidelines, the tension is suffocating. Prince Baelor Breakspear, the Good Prince, prepares his coalition of the marginalised. His advice is blunt.
Do not panic. Remain in formation. Keep your mounts as long as you can. These men mean to see you dead.
He warns them to keep their mounts as long as possible, knowing that once a knight is unhorsed in a melee of this scale, the ground becomes a secondary enemy. On the opposite side, the rivalry between the royal brothers, Baelor and Maekar, takes a psychological turn. In a show-invented dialogue, Sir Lionel Baratheon, the Laughing Storm, taunts the princes.
Mother loved you best, huh? Shame. No man fights so fierce as one neglected by his mother.
This maternal dynamic suggests that Maekar's legendary rage stems from a lack of love, bridging the gap between the highborn prince and the orphaned hedge knight.
I will handle the King's Guard. Their oath forbids them to harm a Prince of the Blood.
Baelor, ever the diplomat, attempts to mitigate the chaos by promising to handle the King's Guard himself. He reminds his team that the King's Guard's oath forbids them from harming a Prince of the Blood, a tactical shield Baelor is willing to use to protect his commoner champions. Yet, the question of honour hangs heavy in the air. When asked if this loophole is truly honourable, Baelor simply replies,
The gods will let us know.
Across the field, the establishment side stands ready with institutional power and blind obedience. Prince Maekar fights out of a wounded paternal duty, flanked by 3 members of the King's Guard who have small choice in the matter, but to defend the royal blood. This isn't just a fight for justice, it is a collision between those who uphold the ideals of knighthood and those who protect the hierarchy of the realm. As Egg hands Dunk his lance, the Ashford Septon offers a chilling prayer.
May the warrior grant victory to the innocent and reveal the guilty in their falseness. May death sustain life.
He calls upon the 7 to peer into mortal hearts and find the truth, transforming this legal struggle into a divine offering. The lances drop, the horses huff, and the world of Dunk and Egg is changed forever. The signal is given, and the 14th Knights charge into a storm of steel and thunder. The air is filled with the sound of metallic rasping and the visceral screams of men and horses alike. This is the moment where the romantic illusions of the tourney die, replaced by the brutal, squelching reality of war. The charge begins. Amidst the metallic rasping and the roar of the crowd, Dunk receives a concussive blow from Prince Aerion. The screen fades, not into black, but into the delirium of the past. As Dunk falls from his horse, the sounds of the trial, the screaming of knights and the squelching of flesh, become a muffled echo, replaced by the squawk of crows and the smell of a much older slaughter. We are transported to the aftermath of the Redgrass field. We meet young Dunk and his companion Rafe, scavenging the dead for survival. The visual shift is jarring. The bright banners of Ashford are replaced by the grey, muddy hills of a graveyard for thousands. They find a dying soldier from House Frey, wheezing for his mother. The man is gasping, his life spilling into the dirt, a terrifyingly visceral introduction to death for a boy who has never seen a man spoil like this. Rafe, depicted here as a girl with quick hands, searches the body with a cold, practiced efficiency. She looks for any scrap of wealth, completely detached from the human tragedy unfolding in front of them. While young Dunk looks on with a flickering sense of pity, Rafe knows that in Flea Bottom, pity doesn't buy bread.
Sorry.
Initially, Dunk attempts a mercy killing, reaching for the man's throat to end the wheezing, but Rafe stops him.
Don't! What the fuck are you doing?
The soldier has a high-born seal. To these gutter rats, a dying man isn't a tragedy. He's a ransom, a ticket to the free cities. Rafe believes they can drag him off the hill and trade his life for the silver they need to cross the narrow sea. Dunk desperately screams, "Up! Up!" as he tries to drag the soldier up a hill, a command that echoes through his future during the Trial of 7. The physical effort is immense, their small bodies straining against the weight of a high-born noble who is already a corpse in everything but name. It is a desperate, messy struggle in the mud, establishing the fundamental helplessness Dunk feels when trying to save those who are already lost. The dream of escape is shattered by a corrupt gold cloak named Alistair.
What? Our silver don't spend.
Price is double. You're not the only ones who mean to get the fuck out of here.
They have scavenged enough silver for 2 fares, but the price is doubled by the greed of the city. When Alistair shakes them down and steals their hard-earned coins, the cycle of violence that defines King's Landing claims its first victim. In a violent escalation over a stolen ale skin, Rafe is killed by the gold cloak. Young Dunk watches his only friend die, realizing that high-born status or silver seals cannot protect you from the rot of the world. Just as Dunk is about to be beaten to death, a voice rings out.
In the name of the mother! Leave that boy be!
It is Sir Arlen of Pennytree. Here, the mother shifts from a missing biological parent to a divine invocation of mercy that saves Dunk's life. This moment defines Dunk's path. He is plucked from the mud by a man who believes in the very vows Aerion and Maekar have forgotten. The flashback ends as Arlen's hand reaches down for Dunk.
Get up.
Mirroring the hand Dunk will later extend to Prince Baelor. Back in the present, the mud is churning with blood. The initial charge is catastrophic for Dunk's defenders, as the colourful pageantry of the tourney dissolves into a visceral, squelching slaughter. The air is thick with the sounds of horses huffing and the terrifying rasp of metal on metal as the 14 knights collide. Sir Humphrey Beesbury is slain instantly by Donal of Duskendale during the first charge. Prince Baelor had promised to handle the Kingsguard, but the speed of the establishment's assault proves lethal for the defenders. The shock of the impact is absolute, turning a legal ritual into a battlefield. Sir Humphrey Harding is gravely injured, the lance point driving the rings of his mail deep into his flesh. While the book has him linger, the show implies his end is immediate, heightening the visceral cost of Dunk's survival. This change emphasizes that in the Trial of 7 there is no room for the chivalry of the lists, only the finality of the grave. Dunk is grounded, pinned under the weight of his own armor and Aerion's mounting assault. He is dazed, struggling to find his footing as the world spins around him. It is here the show adds a powerful stylistic beat that bridges the gap between the highborn and the small folk. Egg, watching his friend and hero fail, initiates a chant that ripples through the crowd.
Get up, Sir Duncan! Get up, sir! Get up!
Get up.
The small folk, who see themselves in the gutter-born Dunk, pick up the rhythm, their voices rising in a synchronized roar. Up! 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 This isn't just a rally. It is the voice of the realm demanding that one of their own stand against the tyranny of the dragon. Dunk finds the strength to rise, fueled by the chant that echoes his own commands to the dying Frey soldier and his horse, Thunder. He doesn't use a lance. He uses his raw, Flea Bottom strength to drag Aerion Targaryen through the mud. The struggle is explosive and reactive, a desperate brawl where the preening dragon is unmasked as a terrified man. Aerion is reduced to muffled screams of, "I yield! I yield!" as Dunk pins him, the sound of the prince's pride shattering in the dirt. Dunk doesn't stop until he has dragged his prisoner before the judges, forcing Aerion to formally withdraw his accusation.
I withdraw my accusation.
The crowd roars in a triumphant frenzy. The underdog has won, and for a fleeting moment, justice seems to have been served in the mud of Ashford. The triumphant music swells as Dunk is declared the victor. Against all odds, he has saved his hand, his foot, and his very life. Exhausted and covered in the mud of the tourney grounds, he approaches Prince Baelor, pledging his life with a simple, profound loyalty.
Your Grace, I am your man. Please. Your man.
Baelor smiles, acknowledging the courage of the Hedge Knight who truly remembered his vows. But as the adrenaline fades and the roaring of the crowd recedes, the tone of the episode begins a devastating, horrifying pivot. The victory that felt so absolute just moments ago begins to dissolve into a nightmare. The narrative arc of the traditional sports movie, where the underdog hero wins and the team celebrates, is violently subverted here. Dunk's joy is short-lived as the camera settles on the prince, and we witness a masterclass in staging a tragedy through the quiet, terrifying failure of the human body. The triumphant music that accompanied Dunk's rise is slowly replaced by a soft, somber score that signals the approach of death. Baelor begins to experience a terrifying neurological collapse, a masterfully staged disconnect between his mind and reality. He moves as if in a daze, attempting to ensure Dunk receives proper medical care, suggesting wine, not oil, for the knight's wounds. But as Baelor speaks, his condition rapidly deteriorates in a way that is chillingly specific.
Visors cracked. My fingers feel like wood.
He complains to those around him that his visors cracked and that his fingers feel like wood. This numbness is not merely fatigue, it is the signaling of catastrophic nerve damage. The fingers feeling like wood suggests a complete loss of sensation as his nervous system fails. The prince is essentially dead standing up. His physical form just hasn't realized the extent of the trauma yet. As Baelor's speech becomes slurred, the audience and the characters around him realize he is hallucinating. The claim that his visor is cracked is a harrowing detail because, as the visual analysis confirms, Baelor is likely not wearing a visor that would obstruct his view in that manner. He is seeing obstacles that do not exist, his brain misfiring as it attempts to process the lethal damage sustained during the melee. When the blacksmith Steely Pate steps forward to remove the helmet, we see the mechanical truth of the injury. With a craftsman's eye, Pate notes that the helm is crushed down the back and smashed into the gorget. The good steel that was meant to protect the heir to the throne ultimately served only to hide a fatal wound from the world. Baelor realizes the source of the blow with a heartbreaking, queer lack of anger.
Your brother's mace, most like, is strong.
This confirms that the blow that killed the good prince did not come from an enemy, but from friendly fire, a stray, accidental strike from his own brother, Maekar, during the chaos of the fight. The good steel Baelor wore was the only thing holding his shattered skull together. The helmet acted as a temporary internal structure, and its removal is not depicted with a triumphant reveal of a face, but with a sickening sound effect captioned as squelching. As the helmet comes off, the structural integrity of his head fails. The prince collapses into the mud, and the triumphant music is gone, replaced by the sounds of pure, unadulterated anguish. Dunk, the victor, is reduced to begging.
Jurgis, get up, sir. Get up, sir.
The episode ends not on a cliffhanger of plot, but of raw emotion, leaving us with the realization that the structure of the realm itself has just failed. For the innocent Hedge Knight to live, the perfect prince had to die. The episode ends with a tragic parallel to the Flea Bottom flashback, creating a narrative rhyme that underscores Dunk's journey. Once again, Dunk is holding a dying noble in the mud, but while his physical stature has grown, his power over death remains unchanged. The editing creates a tragic mirror between Dunk's first encounter with a spoiling highborn and this moment of royal catastrophe. Then versus now. In the past, young Dunk acted out of a desperate need for survival and greed, attempting to drag a wounded Frey soldier off the hill only because his highborn seal made him a lottery ticket for ransom. In the present, he acts out of pure love and loyalty, rushing to catch the collapsing Prince Baelor while pledging, "I am your man." Despite the shift from mercenary intent to genuine devotion, the physical struggle remains identical, a messy, desperate effort to keep a dying man from sinking into the dirt. Despite his physical transformation from a gutter rat into a powerful knight, Dunk is still powerless to stop the death of those he looks up to. The outcome is a cruel repetition of history. The best man dies in his arms, proving that highborn status offers no protection against a grimy, painful end. Dunk's victory is hollow, stripped of the glory usually found at the end of a sports-style narrative. The script describes a devastating transition of sound, moving from stunned gasps to sobbing, and finally to the wailing of a man who has lost his hero. He has won his freedom and saved his hand, but the cost of that justice was the realm's future king. Justice in Westeros is a zero-sum game. For the innocent Hedge Knight to live, the perfect prince had to die. The triumphant music that played during Dunk's rise has been silenced, replaced by a soft score of pure horror.
I'm sorry.
We are left in the mud of Ashford, listening to the wailing of a boy who has just realized that even a true knight cannot always save the people who matter most. The warrior granted victory to the innocent, but the mother could not provide mercy to the great. As the episode fades, we are left not with a cliffhanger of plot, but a cliffhanger of emotion, trapped in the mud with the heavy realization that every victory in this world carries a terrible price.